Hello to all of you in America, Illinois, and beyond who are receiving this video of a very famous and remembered time in Illinois history from 1920 to 1945 when gangsters ruled. My name is Michael Stafford. When Scout and I began researching this era, we had a lot of help from notable authors such as Taylor Pinsonneau, Gary DeNeal, John Musgrave, Ruthie Shelton, and Maureen Hughes. My title is Kings of Little Egypt. Now, it's important to know, if you're not from Illinois, that Little Egypt is considered to be the extreme southern part of southern Illinois, which extends south from Peoria. Many of the small towns that dot the landscape are named after Egyptian cities, hence Little Egypt. Karnak, Thebes, Cairo, Bose, and Mounds are just a few. Our story takes place during a time of upheaval when the Roaring Twenties, the Great Depression, and the 1937 flood collided head-on. A short overview will be helpful as we relive the lives of legendary criminals, the likes of whom we have never seen again. In southern Illinois, our story follows the lives of the Shelton brothers, who went to battle against Charlie Berger, Black Charlie Harris, Buster Wortman, the Ku Klux Klan, and no small assortment of lesser lights. Between them, they broke every law imaginable. The Sheltons' biggest challenge eventually proved to be Al Capone and his lieutenant, Frank Nitti, who ran the outfit in Chicago and had 1,000 men on their payroll. The story of the Sheltons begins at the Merriam Crossroads, southeast of Fairfield, Illinois, in a beautiful place called the Pond Creek Bottoms. In the summer, corn and soybeans are everywhere. The Shelton boys were born here. Big Carl was born in 1888, Big Earl born in 1890, and their brawling brother Bernie, born in 1899, were three of Ben and Agnes Shelton's 7 children. Their home was a modest one, but that didn't seem to matter. There were horses to ride and fish to catch, out there all to their lonesome. The early story of the Shelton brothers was a case study in isolationism. The 5 Shelton boys were all taller than average. They were all, except for Dalta, over 6 feet tall at a time when the average height of an American man was 5 foot 5 inches. Of the 5, Carl, Earl, and Bernie became inseparable. The other 2 brothers went in a different direction. Roy, the oldest brother, was a car thief, a poor one at that. He was gone a lot, usually in prison at Menards. He did not factor into what became the Shelton gang. Dalta, born in 1893, never had much interest in criminal life. He preferred farming and mostly stayed out of the way. The boys developed a reputation early on for stealing anything that wasn't tied down. From their humble beginnings, Carl was the first to sally forth. In 1913, he moved to St. Louis, Missouri. Earl followed close behind. One of the neighbors they left behind in Pond Creek was a young boy by the name of Charlie Harris, who was born in 1896. Charlie would play a prominent role in the lives of the Sheltons. His family had staked claim to being the first settlers in Pond Creek, and Charlie was proud of it. He was a small boy who became a small man, barely 5 foot 5 inches and 140 pounds soaking wet. Yet there was from the beginning a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde personality about Charlie. Mess with him at your peril. Sometime around 1914, Carl became a cab driver in St. Louis. Soon after, the Army called on him, but they didn't want him. After that, he sent for Earl. By the time America entered the war in 1917, both the brothers had done time for robbery and been released. Soon after that, Bernie joined up, and what would become the Shelton gang was complete. Later that year, Earl found a warehouse at 19th and Market in East St. Louis that they converted into a bar. They called it the Shelton Saloon. "If we do this roadhouse thing, brothers, can I be the bouncer?" asked Bernie. Soon enough, the boys were looking for accommodations. They settled on the Arlington Hotel, located at 200 Missouri Avenue, The Arlington was a majestic old three-story brick building smack dab in the middle of the valley, an ongoing area-wide criminal enterprise highlighted by prostitution and gambling. The Shelton brothers met Art and Bessie Newman there. Art was a killer and a gambler. Bessie ran a stable of prostitutes. It didn't take long for the boys to fall from favor with Bessie, seeing as how they liked to sit in the lobby and brandish their weapons. Bernie liked to point his at people. The exhibition was not well received, and soon the boys were forced to move across the street to the Savoy. When Earl went to the Bahamas and Florida's Gold Coast looking for captains to help him bring illegal liquor ashore, he and Carl moved back to southern Illinois, leaving Bernie in charge of the roadhouse. That would not last.